Every year, the Faith, Hope, and Courage event brings our community together, not just to gather, but to share. It's a day that reminds us what really matters: the power of faith to steady us, the strength of hope to carry us, and the courage to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges we face. This year's Faith, Hope, and Courage event featured 4 incredible voices whose stories reminded us of the strength found in perseverance, purpose, and love. Sometimes the stories that change lives begin in the darkest places, where hope feels distant and worth seems out of reach. For Kendall Olson, those years were marked by anxiety, perfectionism, and a battle with an eating disorder that nearly stole everything. It began quietly in small, subtle ways, as fear and control slowly replaced joy and connection. She recalls the moment she knew something deeper was happening inside her.
I didn't have complete control over what I was consuming or what I was eating. I couldn't hide from food, and I had to actually go and face my fears. I would say when my relationship started to suffer and I stopped doing the things that I used to do, I started failing a lot of my classes, and I'd always been a really good student. Just those external little things are changing, and I knew that this was something. I knew it was deeper than just wanting to look better.
For Kendall, faith wasn't just a part of recovery. It was the foundation. She explains how her relationship with God became the turning point in her healing journey.
It was everything. It is what healed my mind, my heart, and I think, it was absolutely the catalyst for getting better. I don't think that I could find one thing on this earth that gave me enough motivation or self-assurance to get better.
Out of her pain came purpose. Kendall turned her story into a mission, creating Kind Minds, a faith-based movement that uses apparel, mentorship, and writing to bring hope to others.
Kind Minds is a ministry, a business that I created based out of my own experiences and pain and the healing that I found in Jesus. And the mission is to give other people who are battling something that feels bigger than themselves hope, and to use my experiences, what I've learned, my story, to help give them a way out, and also to help everyone know that they're not alone. I think that's a really big thing that people struggle with, is they feel crazy, they feel alone, they feel like they're the only one on earth that's experiencing this. And so I found a passion in my heart to share authentically and vulnerably about all my experience. I'm an open book, because I think that was something that kept me stuck for so long, is I'm the only one who struggles with this. And so with sharing and creating this business, it's this is what happened to me. These are all the details, and you're not alone if you struggle with this as well.
Healing isn't a straight line. Kendall is open about the ongoing nature of recovery, the stumbles, the lessons, and the faith that keeps her moving forward.
In all honesty, I'm still learning. I think it is, like you said, it will be until the end of this life. As long as we're in this world, there's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations, there's going to be things that we fall and then we get back up, and it's never going to be perfect. But I would say the things that give me the most hope is that I look back on my journey and I see what God's done in my life, and I know if He did it once, He'll do it again. He's faithful. I know His character. He's not going to let me down this time. And I think the righteous will fall down 7 times, but they get up 8. It just matters if you get up. We get into hard situations and we think, this is it, it's over for me, I don't know how I can overcome this. And then you look back and you're like, actually, every bad feeling I've ever had, I've always gotten through.
Above all, Kendall hopes her story reminds people that no matter how broken life feels, there is always hope, and that God can turn even our deepest pain into something beautiful. Life has a way of rewriting the story you thought you were telling. For Briana and Andrew Listen, that moment came when their twin boys, Leo and Luca, arrived 13 weeks too soon. What began in joy turned quickly into fear, pain, and an entirely new world of medical charts, specialists, and fragile hope. What they thought was a routine checkup turned into a month-long hospital stay. a season of uncertainty and prayer. As the days stretched into weeks, Briana and Andrew found themselves balancing hope and fear, faith and exhaustion, waiting for the moment that would change their lives forever.
So Bree's water broke about a month prior to when they were born. So around 24 weeks, we went in and a lot transpired, but in general, we just learned a lot about the fact that my wife was gonna have to stay inpatient and I was going to have to live between a hospital and home with our oldest daughter and navigate that. Also, while we were dealing with all the ups and downs of complications they were telling us that could arise if, depending on how long the boys can continue to stay in. And it was just a lot of emotion constantly. Always navigating a new set of challenges or a new circumstance that some of the doctors or the team were bringing to us.
For Briana, those final days before delivery were filled with constant monitoring and quiet pleading for just a little more time. The moment the contractions began, fear and faith collided.
I was in that hospital for almost a month before they were born. I mean, I was monitored around the clock. I constantly had about 4 pieces of equipment on my stomach, IVs going in both arms, never knowing when the time is to deliver, which could have been any day, any moment. We had a couple scares before they were born, but we were able to keep them in a little bit longer. But the night that they were born, my mom was actually with me in the hospital and he was home with our daughter. And I remember laying in the hospital bed, like just praying, like, please no, this isn't it. And I started feeling the contractions.
The twins' arrival brought a new kind of reality, one measured in heart monitors and hourly updates. In the NICU, every bleep, every breath carried the weight of hope. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, a new truth began to unfold. When the doctors shared Luca's diagnosis, it reshaped everything: their expectations, their family dynamic, and their definition of strength.
We had been prepared to a degree, but I think when it is staring you in the face and the reality is this is what his future looks like and the future of our family now as well, it's just a hard pill to swallow still. Trying to navigate, how is this going to impact our other kids? How is this going to impact him and his ability to have friends, go to the park? And it's just an overwhelming sensation that floods you that I think we have moments, both of us, where we're prepared to take it head on and ready for whatever challenges come. And then there's other days where it's tough.
Today, the Listens live one day at a time, not chasing milestones, but celebrating progress. Their hope is simple: that Luca continues to grow, to move, to find independence, and that as a family, they continue to become stronger through it all. In every community, there are people who step forward when others can't, who remind us that courage isn't about fearlessness, it's about love. On February 27, 2012, Coach Frank Hall faced a moment no one could prepare for. When violence struck his school, he ran toward danger, protecting students, saving lives, and forever changing his own. After tragedy struck, the Chardon community faced a choice: to surrender to fear or to rebuild together. Frank reflects on what recovery truly looked like for his town.
Well, to me, the most important thing is the recovery that took place at Chardon. How the community came together, how everyone took back our school and didn't let the evil that occurred that day win. And it's a great place. And the people just coming back and taking their school was the most important thing that came out of that day.
That day forever changed Frank's life, but it also connected him to others who had walked the same difficult road. Through the Coach Hall Foundation, Frank continues to stand beside schools and communities in crisis, helping them find hope and strength in the aftermath of violence.
The original idea behind the foundation was school resource officers, getting police officers in schools. We helped pass some legislation in a couple states to get that done, help with training. We've been able to have a game plan to what kind of training SROs needs in school. And now we've kind of moved on to helping schools with training itself, helping schools with lockdown training, helping schools prepare for that. So we kind of take different stages throughout the life of the foundation.
Today, as an athletic director, husband, and father of 9 adopted children, Frank continues to lead, proving that greatness isn't about titles or trophies. It's about lifting others higher every single day.
You know, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of several state championships, and I always tell our kids, you know, don't let that be the highlight of your life. Like, go out in the community and accomplish great things with your life. You know, we don't want you 20 years from now looking back and you know, your high school career was the greatest thing you ever did. We want them to be leaders. We want them to go out in the community and run for the school board, run for city council, be leaders, and give back to their communities. And that's really what we're all about.
Despite the challenges we see in the world today, Frank sees endless potential in today's youth. He reminds us why hope, effort, and the freedom to dream still define the American spirit.
Yeah, you know, you turn on the TV and you see a lot of negative stuff going on, but you know, I wish people would come out on a Friday night and watch a high school game and see kids working their butts off for a win, or come out and check out a study hall. Or the kids want to be good. They want to be great. They want to have a shot at their American dream. And sometimes I think adults need to get out of the way and let these kids dream and be able to try and fulfill those dreams.
In war, everything can change in a single moment. For Staff Sergeant John Kriesel, that moment came in 2006 on a dusty road in Iraq when a 200-pound roadside bomb tore through his team's vehicle.
Laying there and coming to grips with the fact that I was most likely at 25 going to be dead. And so then when I woke up in the hospital, as it did seem real, as badly as I wanted it to be a dream, it clearly was not. It doesn't get more real than that. And so just seeing that and then learning when I asked about my buddies, I learned that 2 of my best friends had been killed. And that really forced perspective on me, made me really, it would have been crappy of me to sit there and feel sorry for myself when I got a second chance at life that 2 of my best friends didn't get.
Pronounced dead 3 times, he somehow survived. 35 surgeries later, and just 9 months after the blast, John walked, literally walked, out of Walter Reed Army Medical Center on prosthetic legs.
It was my goal from the start. Oftentimes through my rehab, there'd be 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. We'd call it the Walter Reed Shuffle. There are days it was 10 steps forward and no steps back, but getting to that point, walking out of Walter Reed on prosthetics, pushing my wheelchair, was sort of my Super Bowl. So I thought, you know, then you get home and then you have more challenges and you have to relearn how normal life works, not just getting out of a hospital.
John's recovery became a masterclass in perseverance, a reminder that no challenge is too big when faced one step at a time.
You absolutely can overcome anything. It's just, I think it's a human reaction to look at the big challenge and go, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. But when you take it one day at a time, setting goals, and not saying, I'm gonna do, you know, I couldn't just say, I'm for sure gonna get out and walk out of here on prosthetics. I could say that as a long-term goal, but then I had to put in those hours of physical therapy and double up and do 2 of them a day. So I wasn't there 2 years like they thought and got out of there in 9 months. But what I do even now, you know, in my business life and personal life, it's easy to get stressed out. There's all kinds of things dumped on our plate. I've got a 6-year-old daughter, busy, all this stuff's going on. But it's not being overwhelmed by it, by goal setting and hitting it head on. And then you're always making steps, you're always achieving. You know, you walk into a house that's a mess, you can't just snap your fingers and clean it or just clean it all at once. You gotta start with the countertop, do this, you know. Maybe a poor analogy, but that's sort of how I think the best way to hit something like that is.
When John left the military, a new kind of mission awaited him, one of service, leadership, and public trust.
I was 29 years old when I ran for office, and it was a nice new challenge when I left the military and medically retired. But there is a void there, not with the guys I was in Iraq with. It didn't end on the terms that I had hoped. I was approached to run for the Minnesota House of Representatives. I think it was 2009, and I thought, what better way to prove to myself that I'm fine now. And so I door knocked, wore out a prosthetic leg, all of that. Ran, and I'm not most proud of winning, but I'm most proud of leaving on my terms and deciding not to run for re-election because I felt I had done enough and accomplished enough in the legislature that I said, I want to leave on my terms, like I sort of didn't with the military, you know.
Today, John dedicates his life to helping other veterans and inspiring audiences across the country with his story of resilience and gratitude. After everything he's endured, John's perspective on life is simple. There's always something to be thankful for, even in the darkest moments.
I think part of it is just remembering back to when I was laying on that dirt road in Iraq with my very visible injuries, losing blood like crazy, and coming to grips with the fact that I was not going to survive. You know, I never quit, but I'm a realist also. So I was like, I'm most likely not going to survive this. And so if you told me at that moment, if you hit pause and said, not only are you going to survive, but you're going to be a state representative, you're going to give motivational speeches around the country and impact lives, you're going to raise a sweet little daughter and get married to an awesome woman, I would say I will take it in a heartbeat. And so we can always focus on the negative. There's negative in everything if you look for it, but I choose to look at the positive in everything. And sometimes it takes more work to find that positive, like a situation like that. But I'm very thankful to have the opportunities I've had since then.
Nearly 2 decades later, John Kriesel continues to serve, inspire, and remind us what true strength looks like as a veteran, a father, and a man who never stopped smiling.
So my day job, I am Director of Veteran Services for Anoka County, just north of Minneapolis. Help veterans get VA benefits that they've earned through their military service. I travel the country giving inspirational, motivational speeches, a lot of them in the upper Midwest, but as far away as Maui and Jamaica. But also, every Friday morning, I get to wake up at the crack of dawn and go in with my friends on the Power Trip Morning Show and get to be part of that fun morning show and yuck it up with those guys and talk stuff that's not important in life, like sports and the stuff we use as a distraction from life. And it's every day I go in there because I grew up listening to the station, and the fact that for 17 years I've got to be on that show every week, I have to pinch myself. It's wild. It's super fun. I'm a lucky guy. That and raising this kiddo, this 6-year-old that I feel like was born 2 minutes ago, and she is the light of my life. She keeps me humble. She's already starting to turn into a teenager, so she rough talks me occasionally, but if what happened to me didn't put life in perspective, that kiddo definitely does.